I'm sleeping with Dr. Jung. I'm his mistress. My name is Sabina Spielrein. I'm Dr. Jung's mistress. I came here in order to humiliate you. But now that I'm here, all I want to do is reassure you. Tell you that I shall always love you. And that I wanted to die, but now I'm alive. And that's your doing. I shall never forget it.
Pardon me. I believe you've mistaken me for someone else.
I must leave now. Really, don't worry. I shall never bother you again. I should like your wife to know that I hold absolutely nothing against her. I'm sure she's a wonderful person. She must be if you chose her. Tell her I wish her every happiness. As I do for you too.
Miss Spielrein.
Двадцатые годы. Сабина Шпильрайн, еще совсем молодая, защитила диплом по медицине в Швейцарии.
In the 1920s, Sabina Spielrein qualified as a doctor in Switzerland.
Сабина Шпильрайн. Когда Ленин...
While Lenin was still alive, she had returned to Moscow with her husband, Pavel Shaftel, who was also a doctor, and their daughter, Renate.
Доктор Шпильрайн была полна энтузиазма в побуждении внести...
Dr. Spielrein was very keen to make a contribution to the great dream of the Russian Revolution.
20-е годы, Москва...
Moscow at that time was a city electric with passion, with new ideas. People took to the streets every day to demonstrate their desire for change. What were they looking for? Heaven on earth, as Sabina used to say. And she was the first to believe it could be attained.
How beautiful Moscow is. How it's changed.
Sabina была специалистом психотерапии.
After qualifying, Sabina had specialized in psychotherapy. And as soon as she was settled in Moscow, she started running an infant school, known as the White Nursery. It was called that because all the furniture in it was painted white. From the very beginning, Dr. Spielrein put all her theories about infant education into practice. and they were very advanced for those days. Her cardinal rule was to give the children the maximum amount of freedom, and the curriculum consisted largely of encouraging creativity, teaching music, and exploring the mysteries of the human body. One of the pupils was tremendously violent. He was always hitting the other children. He'd been enrolled under a false name. Only years later did we find out he was Stalin's son. Not even Sabina had known who he really was.
Is that the one who became a general in the Red Army and went on to become an alcoholic?
Тот, который стал генералом и потом закончил алкоголиком?
Да.
Yes.
Бедный Василий.
Poor Vasily.
Он тоже был жертвой своего
Another
отца.
of his father's victims.
Извините.
Paul Schaftel and Sabina got together a few years after Sabina's break with Jung. So much for eternal love.
She wanted to live with love, not die of it. But she never forgot Jung.
Dear friend, when I left Russia, there was a Tsar. I've come back to find a revolution. Lenin's going to have his work cut out transforming this almost illiterate country into a modern democracy. But everyone seems to be rolling up their sleeves, and I shall try to do my bit too. I think it's the first time a psychoanalyst has ever been put in charge of a nursery school. What I'd like to prove is that if you teach a child freedom from the beginning, he will grow up to be truly free. It's asking a lot, I know, and it won't be easy, but I feel passionately about it. A few nights ago, I dreamt I was a horse galloping across an endless plain. Perhaps that's what my life is, an endless plain. It's getting late, but I can't keep my eyes open. Best wishes, the keeper of your soul.
Sabina Spielrein была женщина исключительная.
Sabina Spielrein was truly extraordinary.
Детям с проблемами.
She always had time for those children with particular problems.
В детском саду был один мальчик, который...
There was a little boy there who would sit under a table all day with his eyes closed.
Он держал сжатыми руки.
His hands were clasped so tight, it was as if his fingers were glued together.
Sabina придумывала что-то новое.
Every morning, Sabina would think up some way of coaxing him out of his isolation.
Johan, let's try and get this part.
Она не сдавалась.
She refused to give up, but however hard she tried,
Невозможно расцепить.
it was impossible to get those hands apart.
Пока в один прекрасный день Сабине не
Then,
пришла
one
в
day,
голову идея.
Sabina had a brainwave.
Этот мальчик
That little boy
был я.
was me.
руки мои разжались.
I felt as if my hands were melting.
Я впервые в жизни засмеялся.
For the first time in my life, I smiled.
Никогда не забуду.
I shall never forget what Dr. Spirain did for me.
В тех стенах мы были счастливы.
Inside the white nursery, we were all happy.
После смерти
But
Ленина
outside,
начался развал.
after Lenin's death, the country started to fall apart.
My dear friend, I should be so happy today because it is my daughter's birthday and because my book of essays is being published. But I hardly feel like celebrating. Our great poet Mayakovsky is dead. Accident or assassination? On the radio, Stalin said he committed suicide, and now this is the official version. Will we ever know the truth? With every day that passes, the darkness grows more overwhelming. It creeps into one's innermost being and sows seeds of terror. Last month, my parents were arrested without ever being told why. The truth is that no one dares say aloud that we are ruled by a man who is mentally ill. Do you remember that phrase of Arthur Schnitzler, the Austrian writer? God created him to be a hero, but the course of events turned him into a fool. Poor God. Stalin is mad. He was certified by his own doctor, a colleague of my husband's, who died shortly after, having eaten a cake at the cafeteria at the Bolshoi.
Comrade Spielrein, this is yours, I believe. Sign here to say you disown it.
Why?
You published it without party permission, and the party does not like what you've written.
And what is it the party objects to?
Your theories on freedom of thought and sexual liberation for children are provocative and contrary to Marxist-Leninist principles. Not to mention what you have written about the car. The car is the symbol of capitalist decadence.
But even Mayakovsky had a car.
If I had been Mayakovsky, I would have been much more careful about having an accident. I advise you to do as you're told.
Even if you kill me, even if you bury me, I shall rise again. Mayakovsky, Comrade Zorin.
Get on with it!